Been a violent last 24 hours across the city of St. Louis with at least 8 people shot. It continues a concerning trend. Violent crime on the rise after progress was made last year. So last year, homicides were down by more than 20% following some of the deadliest years in the city's history from 2017 to 2022. But in the first 4 months of the year, we're going in the wrong direction. According to new police data, there were 53 homicides through April, 7 more than the year prior, and on the worst pace than 2022 when the city finished with 200. And total violent crime, which includes things like assault, is also up compared to the past couple of years. There's one bright spot. Property crime down about 25% from this time last year. All right, joining me here on the couch, our good friend James Clark, who is the Vice President of Public Safety at the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis. James, really always appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You are always able to give a good perspective on maybe some of the causes that we're seeing in the community when it comes to this violent crime. So let's start there. What are you all seeing at the Urban League that might be causing this uptick in violent crime?
Well, Corey, it really starts within the family. And it starts within the neighborhood. In the Division of Public Safety, we use a very unique lens. We call it the NPL. We have to be in the neighborhoods. You have to be engaging families on the front porch. And you really have to be able to focus on getting resources into the neighborhoods. We have been negligent with that. You know, I'm always somewhat criticized saying, Mr. Clark, you seem to say the same thing over and over. But it's like my mother said, the truth doesn't change. We have under-resourced neighborhoods. And when you have under-resourced neighborhoods, crime and violence are two things that become accepted and expected by the neighborhood residents.
And last year, when we saw some of the violent crime, the homicide numbers going down in the city of St. Louis, city police credited that community policing and engagement and more targeted intervention in high crime neighborhoods. You're saying that's still the strategy, even though we are seeing this uptick this year? Absolutely.
I think that in the city that Chief Tracy is doing a good job. I think that Mayor Jones' strategy to open the Office of Violence Prevention that focuses on doing outreach on a consistent basis in target neighborhoods. But those efforts, like what we do at the Urban League, direct neighborhood engagement, they have to be scaled up. There are 9 neighborhoods in the city that needs to have concentrated, consistent engagement. There are 7 neighborhoods in St. Louis County that need to be outlined. We got to go straight in, and we've got to do direct household engagement. And then there are 4 neighborhoods over in East St. Louis. We know where the neighborhoods are. We've analyzed the problem, and for too long, we've kind of been just hydroplaning over the problem. We've got to go straight into the neighborhoods, and we have got to be able to have individuals in the neighborhoods on a consistent basis to build relationships, and we've got to begin to funnel resources into our neighborhoods.
In March, a regional crime fighting plan was approved by different government leaders and leaders here across the St. Louis region. When we hear regional, you were talking about East St. Louis City, St. Louis County, St. Charles. How important is it that we attack violent crime from a region standpoint, not just say, oh, this is St. Louis City's problem, this is St. Louis County's problem, this is East St. Louis? Talk about the importance of attacking this regionally.
That is a fundamental problem that I've always recognized. We can't just focus on St. Louis City homicides. We've got to look at St. Louis City, St. Louis County, and East St. Louis, and we've got to have a comprehensive plan because what goes on in the city happens in the county, and individuals will travel across the border. They will travel across the water. We have got to engage families in the neighborhood in which they live. So I wish I can say that it was a deep, multi-tiered problem. It's a very, very simple problem. We've got to start at the neighborhood level, and we've got to engage individuals and families right in the neighborhoods.
That regional crime fighting plan has a goal of reducing homicides in the next 3 years by 20%. You think that's realistic?
I think that is very realistic, but it's going to take a concentrated gut check. Yep. Everyone has to gut check and say, we've got to focus on the neighborhoods, the front porch, and the living room. I know that I sound like a broken record, but I said it in 2015. You can pretty much predict what's going to happen in the neighborhood by the behavior that you see taking place in the living room.
Yeah.
We've got to focus on our neighborhoods. We are very excited to now have a strong partner coming forward like never before in the neighborhood church. There's a neighborhood church on almost every corner. So we're excited for the neighborhood church to understand law enforcement has a role, our elected officials have a role, our schools have a role, but now we are ushering in the day when the neighborhood church says we will be visible and we will be accessible to neighborhood families.
James, always really appreciate your insight and perspective on this important issue. We'll have you back again, no doubt.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.